Well,
Oh, well,
Jesus, I wanted to, I'm recording this, by the way.
absolutely. Yep, no problem.
I think I remembered that you just came through training fairly recently, but do you know when that was?
It was last year, and I guess it was around it was around summertime.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. About midway through the
Yes,
year there, right? And Jesus, can you remind me
correct.
what was your background or job before becoming a licensee?
A software design. So what we did was my background, and I've been doing that for years. I used to work for Procter and Gamble, and after I came to the U.S., I kind of focused more on online search engine optimization, social media. So it was more on technology. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a coder.
No medical background or billing training, of course, at all.
None whatsoever.
What
None
what
whatsoever.
uh, what made you choose this field, as a business to want to get into?
Well, we built a couple of software platforms for a group of chiropractors and then a group of rheumatologists. So I that allowed me to understand the great potential, in the area of opportunity because doctors they lack all that technology. They like the business intelligence or the business knowledge. So that I thought it was a great opportunity. I did a research on medical billing, revenue cycle management, and this is how I learned about American business systems.
Good. So it kind of fell in your field of knowledge. You wanted to at least stay within the medical industry.
Exactly. Yes. So it's a great potential, because what I tell my doctors and doctors that I meet, it's although my background is not on medical, but just in order to be a profitable business, medical or any other business, you need to have processes and procedures. And that's what basically, I have learned all these years that American Business Systems provides. It's the system for doctors to be profitable, basically.
Yeah, we're just helping them keep more of the money and gather more of the money that they earn when they see the patient.
Exactly.
So I know this was a little while back there in the last summer, but what was your impression of the workshop? Any feedback you can give me on that? Could we be it
Yeah,
better at it?
I mean, that week was for me enlightening explanation on how medical offices operate, how billing is done, and how the revenue cycle works. But it was enlightening and to learn, the again the opportunity that exists for doctors and for us as licensees on how we can help doctors. Because basically, on this year that I have been and promoting our services, I can tell you 95% of the doctors they still need the services.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, did you start out right after the training, trying to promote and market? Was it full time or part time or?
At the beginning, it was kind of a part time. It was probably 60-70% of my time was dedicated on promoting this business. I slowed down a little bit. I kind of faced some challenges. And it was probably not on because of the line of business that we are in, but it was more on I was focusing on the wrong doctors, on the wrong it was a learning experience, and it was not until I don't know if you remember that we met late last year that I met with you with Adam. I guess it was Chad as well in that meeting, and you helped me uh, through all those challenges. So at the beginning, what I did, I targeted the wrong doctors. My background, I was born and raised in Mexico, and I thought at the beginning that having and it's not a challenge, but having, an accent and not being from here, it would be best for me to network with doctors that were also not from the US. So I started working with a Latino association of doctors. The challenge with those doctors is that they don't, Hispanics think more on costs and expenses and not so much on benefits. No, so it was kind of I was in a vicious cycle on with all these doctors. So rather than explaining them the real benefits and how they can just turn over the revenue on their practices, we were in a negative or in a vicious cycle. So after we met, your team and you helped me understand a lot of things. I was in touch with other licensees, and it's when I started to turn it around. No, but yeah, at the beginning it was a learning experience. I was not dedicating my full time to it. So from being 70% involved, I kind of dropped to 30% of my time. But now, it's now that it's picking up, I'm dedicating more time to it.
Yeah, so what I understood you to say then was that focusing on the Latino doctors, they're always real conscious of what they're going to spend on something, not necessarily what they're going to make and benefit from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and that is a challenge. I failed probably to communicate to them how, working with us is we could streamline their practices and make them more efficient, because there is no secret sauce on that's what I tell them. It's just a matter of making your practice, streamlining the practice, making it efficient, and having the right people, and us having the experience on being a nationwide organization. We can leverage the experience that we have, from other licensees and other offices throughout the U.S. that we can really bring value to them. So at the beginning, I was again in that vicious cycle rather than explaining the real benefit on working with us.
Jesus, this is a little more personal, and you don't have to share this with me if you don't want to, but I was just curious, when did you actually move here to the States?
I moved here 10 years ago. So I've been 10 years. I lived 2 years in San Antonio, and we have been now 8 years in Dallas.
Wow, I'm just so impressed with what you've accomplished here. What were you doing there in Mexico?
I was a VP of a logistics company, such like FedEx and UPS.
Oh.
So I was transferred to San Antonio to open the subsidiary for the company in the U.S. So we made a partnership, and the reason for me coming here, because we made a partnership with a company in Canada, which is Purolator. I don't know if you're familiar. They're the largest logistics company in Canada, and in the U.S. it was UPS. So we partnered on a certain type of freight in logistics coming from Mexico to the U.S. and Canada, and from Canada to the U.S. and Mexico.
Wow, that's impressive. Well, you've done well for yourself. Congratulations. Let me ask you, how long after the training workshop did you actually begin marketing to find a client? Was it a little time after that? Did it take you some time to get your business set up and ready to go, or did you just jump right out there?
I after the training, it was as I told you, it was a great training. So I felt that I knew a lot of things, and I was so energetic on just just trying to.
I remember. Yes.
I started again targeting these Latino physicians, but I also targeted large groups. So instead of focusing, which is another mistake that I made, I guess. So instead of focusing on smaller practices, solo practitioners at the beginning, to gain that experience, that confidence, I was targeting larger groups, and which was a frustrating experience, but because the selling cycle is longer, so it's not that easy. You have to meet with a lot of people, so the decision making process is very
Yeah,
lengthy,
lots of red tape. Yeah. No, but
exactly. So
you're not the only one, believe me, that's tried that. Everybody wants to go after the whale when they really ought to just try to gather a few minnows, at first.
exactly.
How long did it actually take you once you started marketing to actually find that first client? And what type of client was that?
And it was probably, I would say, probably a month or 2 months after I met with you and your team. So that was really helpful, talking to other licensees and learning from their experience. So it was a very good. So it was a small account. As I told you, I spent a lot of time targeting large clinics until I met with a very small clinic. It's a internal medicine doctor,
Yeah.
but it was small enough for me to learn more about the business, understand the process, understand how the practice is set up, and basically understand everything. So it was a very interesting on the whole process. The doctor was very patient. You make all sorts of mistakes. However, being in touch with other licensees, they helped me overcome a lot of challenges that I had. But that helped me gain a lot of confidence, meeting with the doctors. And I now have 3 doctors. So that gave me some confidence to start working with more doctors.
I'm sorry, I kind of picked up there that you, at this point, you have 3 doctors. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
And what types are the other 2?
Another one is a pain doctor, and the third one is a family practice.
Ah, okay. And are all of these on the iClaim system, or some of them on paper still?
2 of them are on iClaim, and one is paper. We're switching now to iClaim.
Okay, good. Now, how did you get each one of the doctors? Tell me the marketing method that helped you get the first one and the second and the third.
On all of them, the method was referral. I've been going to networking events. That has been the most successful way for me to meet with other doctors. So attending to events with other doctors, networking events, with labs, chronic care management companies, meeting with other people on the field and the industry, they have referred me to the doctors. So for me, the most successful has been networking and getting referrals from companies in the same industry, but in other areas.
Yeah, that's what most licensees have found, that it just takes connecting with other people in the community to get the first doctor or 2, and once you have done a good job for those doctors, assuming you do, then they're willing to give you referrals to other doctors.
Oh yeah, actually, with the first doctor, with the first account that I got, I basically, the agreement with the doctor was, if I don't deliver, if you don't see any value on what we do, you just don't pay me. So I'm gonna work for free for you for a month or 2 months. If you don't see any value or you don't like what you see, I mean, you don't even have to switch your EMR. So we will work for you for free, you know? So
Yeah.
that gave the doctor a lot of confidence on working with us, you know? So that was a very good strategy.
Yeah.
And I'm even now talking to some doctors that, you know, there are in clinics that are multi-clinics, and I'm still, you know, I feel more confident now, even more to target large clinics, but making the switch for them just one practice at a time, you know, one office at a time, or even just one doctor at a time, that, you know, it will allow them to understand the value that we bring to the table, you know, the results that we provide, so that, you know, they can give us more business, you know.
Yeah.
Another marketing strategy that is starting to work for me is I have met with the 3 doctors now, and it's just a walk-in. I just go to the clinic that I know they may have a good volume of patients. So I just walk in there and I ask to speak with the office manager. But it's becoming very common, and I don't know why. You know, doctors like for people to bring them lunch. You know, so I have catered 3 practices, and it's easier for me to be in front of the doctors, the practice manager, and some other you know, nurses and assistants that they may have on the practice. So, you know, I spend probably $80, $100 on bringing lunch, but at least I have their attention for an hour. So that has worked. They at least I get their attention. It's a good way to get in front of doctors as well.
Yeah, it's what I call getting past the glass. If you can get past the glass, right, now you're on the inside. You're a friend, right? You're not an enemy. You're not a stranger because you've brought them lunch. There's that reciprocity principle there at work. Plus, you've engaged with them. They know you now as a human being, and if you're not too formal about the whole thing, you know, make it enjoyable to them. They love that. Yeah. And now you can talk to them about just about anything, because the next time you contact somebody there in the office, they go, "Oh, here's Jesus. We remember him. He brought us, you know, hamburgers or whatever."
Yeah. So it's a funny thing. With a practice that I have been meeting, you know, it's now 3 times. When I told them that I was willing to cater and bring the food, so I was just gonna bring, you know, Mexican food, which, I mean, they usually like Mexican food. Who doesn't, know? But they called me 2 hours before the meeting. They said, "Well, have you bought the food?" No, I was actually on my way. Well, I said, "Well, you know, we have an order placed in PF Chang's. So if you don't mind picking it up and paying for it, you know, we'll just wait for you here."
Oh, hey, I hadn't thought about that. Just tell them to let you know where they've ordered the food, and you'll drop by, pick it up, and pay for it. Yeah, that's even easier for you.
Exactly. So every time I call them now, it's the joke is I'm the PF Chang's delivery boy.
Love that. Well, hey, as long as they eventually give you some business, you know, I look at it as a great investment. I mean, even if you spent $100 and met with them 3 times, that's $300. But if you do eventually get a client, I mean, that's worth thousands of dollars over in, you know, a period of time.
Just with the first month, you know, it's at least, you know, depending again on the volume that the doctor, it's at least it's a couple thousand, you know, net profit per clinic, you know, or per doctor, per provider.
Yes, and so you look at it as that's just a marketing expense, and you get to write that off on your taxes even.
Exactly.
Okay, so Jesus, give me a feel for, you know, the number of claims, or maybe the monthly dollar volume that you're currently billing. Have you got any feel for that from your doctors that you have now?
Yes. The smallest doctor, you know, on a month, it's what we bill him is around $2,200. So it's $2,200 a month. the agreement with them was on a 6% of their billing. So that's a small account, but again, I was willing to take the risk, and it was a small account. I mean, just with that sale, I got my investment bank from the license. Now the last doctor that I'm working with, he has a volume of about 22 patients a day, and we're billing him around $6,000 a month. So that's pretty much. This is a pain doctor, pain management. He only works from Monday to Friday, so I would say it's on the mid-size range of doctors. Fridays is basically for procedures that he has, knee injections or hip injections, some small procedures that he has at the surgery centers. But it's a good size clinic now. So we bill him $6,500 a month.
Okay, so that's the amount that you're actually earning off of those doctors. In other words, it's not what you're billing for them and getting back money-wise, but it's what you basically net, before your expenses.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, hey, you're right. That first doctor paid back your license fee right there. Maybe I should go up, you think?
Exactly. Yes.
Well, all right. So that's you're charging all those doctors about the 6% figure. Is that what I heard?
Correct. On the pain management doctor, it was a referral, and it was a relation that with a good friend. So I'm billing him 5.5%.
Yeah.
But the rest are 6%. I could have. The problem, to be honest with you, would have gone higher. Usually, what I've seen on average is around 7%. Some doctors even pay 8.5% or 9%. So I went lower, just sacrificing a little bit of profit, but gaining that experience. But that the 6%, I think it's low on the industry. It should be at least 6.5% or 7%.
So what about setup fees, Jesus? Do you charge some kind of? It depends on what they want, I guess.
Yes, the setup fee for the doctors have been around $3,000 and $5,000. In none of those cases, I have included an iPad, because in most of them they have an iPad. So I kind of bundled everything, considering that I would have to buy an iPad for the doctor.
Right.
But in none of the cases I have bought it. So I have a little bit more of a margin there. Between 3 and 5 has been my setup.
Yeah, that's good. So let me ask you, for most of your contacts with doctors, have you found that they contract their billing outsourced already to another company, or are some of them still doing it in-house? What's the percentage that you think?
In 2 of the 3 accounts that I have, they outsourced. One was outsourced somewhere in Utah or somewhere there, and the other one was outsourced in India. The third one had a billing in-house. So it was they needed the change on all of the cases. But yes, I was telling you, the doctors that I have, they one outsourced in India, the other one in a company in Utah, and the third one had it in-house. So basically, and from what I have learned, being in front of doctors, all of them have a challenge. There is no doctor that I have met that he tells me, I'm really happy with my billing and I'm satisfied on, the rejection rates that I have. And I haven't met one of them. No, I have not met doctors as well who are happy with their EMR. So that's another advantage that we have. Talking to the doctors, before how they were before the EMR and after with iClaim, there is no comparison. No, so again, there is some pain in the transition on moving from one EMR to the other. So it's a learning experience for doctors. But the 3 accounts that I have are doctors on their 60s, which are technology and not that savvy. So it was hard for them at the beginning, but now it's very, very easy. So they have told me that they wouldn't change the EMR for anything. They wouldn't change iClaim or EMRX. So and I'm telling you about doctors of 60-year-old doctors. So that technology is very, very complicated for them.
Yes. Yeah, it's a real challenge as people get older to try to wrap their brain around it. What about doctors? Are they generally receptive to them when they do switch? Let me back up. Did they have some sort of a demo? Did you show them a demo of the system, or have us show it to them?
Yes. So and the process was very simple. I mean, I scheduled the demo. Once they started to see the demo, I never look at the screen on the demos. I probably beat it with the first doctors that I met at the beginning. So I wanted to learn more about iClaim and EMRX. But now that I know more about the software, I'm pretty familiar with it. I look at their faces now. I don't look at the screen whenever we're giving the demo. I look at their faces, right, and just to see their reaction on certain processes. That whenever they see something that's done very simple, how they open their eyes. So I try to look at their reactions and learn more about pains that they may have that probably did not communicate on the first or the second meeting that I had with them. I've never done a demo on a go-to-meeting, or whenever there's a demo, always there with them.
Yes, that's what we recommend. That's best practice for sure. Let me ask you, who's doing the actual data entry and billing for you? Are you doing some of that still, or have you hired people?
I did it for the first doctor. Now I'm working with a great lady. She is very helpful. So I think it's easier for me. Don't worry about the details, and she is very, very detailed. So I just now focus more on meeting with doctors rather than doing the input. However, from the experience that I got from the first doctor, again, it's not really complicated. So that's what I'm going to focus on next year. Just getting in front of doctors, building the business.
Have you thought about having any sales reps, or do you feel like you can do all the marketing yourself?
So far I have been handling all the marketing, but I'm in the process of hiring a sales rep, and I'm thinking on two ways, because it's easier for her. It's a lady, and it's very easy for her to find the decision maker, even either on the phone or on in person. So she's really good at it. And once the doors are open, I mean, the most complicated thing is to get a foot on the door. Once we are there, it's not that complicated on showing the demo and the benefit to the doctors. So I'm going to work in two ways with her. She is good at opening, as I told you, doors for larger practices, and she has a lot of experience working with rural practices. I'm not really sure on other states in the U.S. the challenge for rural clinics and doctors, and they're really hurting because they're missing a lot of revenue. They're leaving a lot of money in the door. The rejection rates are really high, and they don't have someone who can be really competitive looking after their claims. No, so the need is higher on rural areas than it is on the city. And those doctors are more receptive on whatever you are going to offer, because not a lot of people approach them. So it's easier first, to get a foot on the door, and they're more receptive on new things that may be out there, because they need us even more than doctors on metropolitan areas.
Now, I meant to ask this about your data entry person. How do you pay her? Can you give me a feel for that? Is it per claim or on a percentage of what's collected, or?
It's on a percentage that I pay to her. So I bill, the 6%, 5.5%, or whatever, and I give her a percentage. The good thing is that, again, I don't have to worry, and I don't have to dedicate much time only on the monthly meeting with the doctor to see the results. So and again, it's a very streamlined process. The communication works very easily, right on the EMR and by email. So it's great. I prefer that than working that on my own. I could do it again, but again, I wouldn't have much time to meet with doctors.
Jesus, I don't know how much time you allotted. It's 1:08. I just have a couple more questions here, if that's okay. And you're certainly welcome to share anything you want to as well, of course. But I wanted to ask you about your future goals for the business. What do you want to do with it? How many providers would you like to have eventually, and what could we do to help you get there?
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm as I told you, I'm going to hire my first sales rep to help me open the doors. My idea is to at least, get one provider a month, which is not really hard to do. Dedicating 100% to the business. So I'm telling you, I have, on the past, dedicated 20-30% of my time, and I already have 3 doctors. So if I can be full-time, I'm not going to have a problem on getting at least 1 doctor a month. And having that, at the end of the year, it can be a very interesting revenue or income, from doctors, considering, that on average, the revenue on those doctors can be between $5,000 and $6,000. So that is my objective, to get a sales rep and focus on larger practices that we can start working with 1 doctor and then upsell to other doctors, and also on rural clinics in cities close to Dallas.
Yeah, that's a great goal. I love to hear that. That you're right. If you really focused on this and worked it full time for a year, there's no reason why you couldn't be seeing a 6-figure revenue for yourself easily.
Oh, exactly. No, and I guess I like the model of also working for with someone doing all the input and following up on claims, because it may be some time consuming whenever there is a claim that needs attention. It may take some of my time that I could dedicate to, meet with more doctors and grow the business.
Yeah, yeah, that's wise to focus on what you're good at. Focus on your skills that you're best at, and let somebody else focus on the skills they're good at.
Exactly. Yes.
So, Jesus, tell me what can we do? I want to make sure that you're as successful as possible. You're just such a perfect example of somebody who's taken this opportunity and really gone out and done what we wish everybody would do, and that's to just work it until they get that first client, and then just go from there and build it. I want to know what we can do to help, and if you want to meet on a regular basis with me or other people here at the office, I'd be glad to just do some brainstorming with you if that's what it takes.
Oh, perfect. That will help a lot. It really helped me when I met with you and that I hadn't closed any sale and just to learn what else I could do, because it was as I told you, on that vicious cycle. So it was very beneficial for my business to meet with you. So meeting with you and your team on a regular basis, learning from experiences from other licensees, what is working for them the most, and so that we can replicate the same system.
Yeah, and these types of interviews that I'm doing with you, these strategy sessions, I call them, they really help people just to kind of think outside the box. And by hearing what other people have done, what they've failed at, what they've succeeded at, that's always a help to me. And so we have recorded interviews like this, Jesus, a ton of them. 50 or more that we've done over the years, that you're welcome to have access to any of those. I could send you links to some of them if you'd like to. I know you don't have a lot of spare time, but you can watch them on your phone if you want to, even while you're driving, and listen to them at least.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That'll help a lot. Because, on this business, it's and like any other business, is a continuous learning process. What is working in new techniques or new things that other licensees have been successful with. So that would help a lot. It's a process that is not really complicated. I could do it, but I don't want to do it because it can be time consuming. So having someone that you can monitor, because on iClaim it's very easy to just follow up on the claims and which ones are rejected, and there's no secret sauce on anything. It's a funny thing. I met the other day with a large practice. They're rheumatologists. So all the management were engineers. None of the people in the management positions in the practice was a doctor. So it was a medical practice, a medical business run by engineers. And they were basically working on data, what works, what doesn't work. So and they tell you, we leave the doctors to whatever they do best, and we have been running the business. And the only thing that they say is there's no secret sauce. It's just a having processes, procedures that you do consistently that will make you, successful. So and just to complete on the things that doctors like to hear, is because most of them have questioned me on, well, what happens if Jesus Monroy dies, or Jesus Monroy goes back to Mexico, or changes, industry. And what I tell them is I'm part of the largest revenue cycle management company in the U.S. So it's not that you are on a mom and pop's company that may disappear. So this is a structured organization where we leverage the experience that we have with other doctors, basically in any specialty in anywhere in the U.S. So no other company can pride themselves on saying that, and that's true. I have been able
to reach your customer line, and they refer me to other licensees whenever I have a challenge, and I talk to the licensees and whether they help me with credentialing or billing or rejections or even with doctors on the same specialty, because sometimes doctors want to hear how many other doctors we have that we have worked with bariatrics, for example, no, because they think that, you know, they have something special on every
right.
specialty, no. So that's what I tell them. We are part of an organization that we're not going to leave you. You know, I mean, we're just leveraging the experience we have all over the U.S.
All right. Appreciate it, Jesus. Thank you so much for your time, and let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
I will. Thank you very much, Patrick. I appreciate it.